to inspire that sort of feeling in people, so that their work is more than just work. Sometimes that can't be helped, but certainly if people feel that they have more of a stake in what's going on, it becomes more than just work. And of course, you cannot expect people to work hard if you don't. And I certainly learned that when I was working for the reserves, because often, because of the demanding, there was just a big workload in administration. A lot of it had to do with evals, and there were always these deadlines, and sometimes things didn't get done when they were supposed to be done, and somebody who was working on it had to stay late, and I never ever left until the work was done. I could have left. My supervisor was staying because he was the one who ultimately had to make sure that this got turned in, but I didn't think it was fair to have somebody in my division working late, staying over, and of course we don't get paid overtime, and for me to just leave. And so I always, and I think that kind of dedication is something that people notice, that care. And simple thank yous are also very important. And of course, if you don't meet deadlines, your own deadlines, if you don't follow through on the things that you say that you're going to do, you really shouldn't expect others to, or necessarily get upset with them if they don't. And that's a big problem that I've seen a lot of times with supervisors. They get upset with you for doing things that they themselves do. Maintaining a facade of invincibility and omniscience only leads to insecurity. Always, because in those situations you're always waiting for that facade to crack, and it will crack. You can't know everything, you can't be everything. You certainly can rely on others to provide information and expertise that you don't have. And I also think that someone who maintains that facade often sees genuine questions as challenges to their authority. And it goes back to that insecurity, that idea that, well, I don't know everything, but as the leader I'm supposed to know everything, and so I'm going to make sure that everybody thinks I know everything. I think another important thing that leaders need to have, and that I've learned through this course and through my own experience, is that you need to know your limitations and your weaknesses and the lack of knowledge that you have, because knowing all of that is a good way to start overcoming them. If you don't acknowledge that you have these weaknesses or these this lack of knowledge or expertise, then you're never going to try and improve yourself. And so this class has not only taught me the characteristics of a good leader, it has helped me recognize the things that hold me back from being an effective leader when I get that opportunity. And my biggest hurdle to being an effective leader, I feel in myself, is decisiveness, or rather my lack of decisiveness. A lot of that boils down to having too many options and not knowing where to start with problems or projects. I'm really good when I get in the middle of a project. Sometimes I don't know how to end, and it's hard for me to start, but that middle part is good. But a lot of times it has to do with not sitting down and trying to figure out where to start. And if I don't know, then the people that work for me are not going to know. And another hurdle for me is organization. And it's not that there's not enough of it, but that I have too much. Maybe that's connected a little bit to the indecision that I sometimes find myself with. I feel that organizing is a really good way to put things off. And I often don't get started with projects, with ideas. I don't move that elephant down the road because I don't ever feel that I'm organized enough. And that's related to another, I always feel like I just got to have everything organized just right before I can get started. And that's related to another problem, which is procrastination. Planning is good, but too much can kill even the best ideas. And I think that all good leaders need to recognize that that problem or these things that can hinder their ability to not just get their own work done, but to help people that are working for them get their work done. Lastly, follow through. It's very important. It's, do what you say you're going to do, and I sometimes have a problem with that. I say that I'm going to do something, and I don't always do it. I procrastinate, I over-organize, I just put it off. And so I think that lessens the credibility that a leader has when they don't follow through on promises or threats. I don't mean threats, not necessarily threats, but in consequences for actions that should have consequences. And after all this, do I know how to be a good leader? Well, I know the principles involved. I know in theory how it should work. I also know what my limitations are, and so I can work on overcoming them. And I think the last thing to remember, speaking of limitations, the last thing to remember about any leader is we're all human, so we're all prone to mistakes, lapses of judgment, and moments when we don't always do what we know we need to do or should do. And in the end, if we remember that we're all human, the people that work for us, remember that their supervisor manager is human, and if we remember that the people who work for us are human, and that we're all doing the best we can, I think maybe that's the greatest attribute that any leader can